I think jumping in, the first thing you want to make sure that you're doing with your budget is certainly diversifying it. You don't want to be going into Q4 or 2024 heavily relying on one part of the marketing funnel or one channel of marketing. You want to make sure that you're really hitting users in multiple places and across multiple phases. I would say if your budget is still being allocated the way it was a year ago, it's certainly time to give it a refresh and update that those tactics that you're running.
Okay, well, budget seems like not the place that most people go to get kicked off. So yes, diversifying. What are the other elements that go into, do I have the right budget in place? Anybody want to jump into that?
Yeah, I mean, for
Yeah,
our automotive clients, understanding budget relative to inventory and looking at, how much we're spending per vehicle being sold. So I think that's a really important metric to understand. But, outside of auto as well, just making sure that budget is relative to goals. Where do you want to be, and how can you build a budget that can help drive you to what you want your 2024 to look like? How can we plan to make sure that we're dominating our markets? How can we plan to make sure that we have tactics across all integrated media channels, SEO, paid search, social, and media, and really make sure that we're planning for what we want our 2024 to look like? Do we want to, take it head on and really dominate, or do we kind of want to sit back and let our competitors take over? I don't really want to do the second one, so.
Gage, you talked about kind of 30,000-foot marketing view and analyzing tactics to ensure efficient budget strategy is in place for each of the tactics. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yeah, absolutely. And I think this also helps answer Shauna's question she had put in the chat as well, which is, it's important not to get too focused on one specific tactic, right? And I think that's kind of what Sarah and Robin mentioned, was looking at diversification. So yeah, it's easy to, let's say, look at the biggest budget line item, right? And say, okay, things aren't working. What do we do? Let's look at this one item, and because that's our biggest one. But I think it's also important to step back and look at everything holistically, right? Are we spending in the right places? Do we have specific channels that we're not spending on at all? So there are often times where advertisers get stuck in doing something the same thing month and month and month, and they realize that, wait, for 6 months now we've done no branding, right? We just thought our brand was great and we had everything we needed, but now the branding's been missing, and they're finally feeling the effects of that later, right? So it's important to kind of take a pause, take a step back, and start at the top and say, who are my target audiences, right? People that are ready to buy right this second. Who's going to buy from me in 6 months from now? Who's going to buy from me a year from now? And am I getting my message, my brand, in front of all these people with different tactics, right? So then that's when it's important to say, okay, how do I get in front of people that are going to be interested in me someday, right? Maybe you look at things like, connected TV, radio, traditional TV, if it works for you, things that are a little bit broader, getting your message out there. Then you dive into, how do I get the people that are looking for me today, right? So then you look at things like paid search, people that are actively searching for you, people that are looking for you today. Social media, right? Oftentimes we can hit people on social media based on their interests, things they've been engaging with, other places they've been shopping that are similar to us. So we really need to take a look at every level and decide how to most effectively spend our dollars on each audience that we're trying to hit.
That was comprehensive, and I don't think people probably could write fast enough. So don't worry, there will be a recording sent to you. And I'm actually going to put you guys all on the spot here for a second. As I'm listening to you, I can't take notes fast enough. So would you guys be willing to put together checklists that we can send out to everyone maybe next week of, going tactic by tactic? What are the specific things they can look at and consider? And I know we've already gotten some questions specific to automotive, so maybe some adjustments specific to that industry would be nice. So I am putting you on the spot. You guys cool with that? Maybe next week we can put together a checklist for everyone. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, moving along, but as we move forward, is there anything else in the budget conversation that we haven't yet addressed that needs to be addressed? Is there anything we want to quickly mention before we move on?
I think something, Subi, that you mentioned is we don't often think of budget as the first area to go to for an audit, but I actually think it's the perfect place to start because that helps you guide your messaging, your creative. It helps guide all of those next steps. Something I always think about when I think about our marketing budgets is you would never go into retirement funding just one stock as you're relying on your savings for retirement. So why would you have your business relying on just one marketing tactic? And I think going into Q4, you're starting to plan maybe heftier budgets for the holiday season, or you're getting ready for your 2024 year and you're auditing what you've done in the past year. It's really the perfect time to start looking at those budgets. And have you been maximizing your reach? Is there areas where you can drive more traffic? Are you hitting high funnel as well as low funnel shoppers? Those high funnel researchers that we often kind of put to the wayside, especially when we're looking to maybe cut back. Those are the shoppers that end up driving low funnel converters. Getting those shoppers early on is really important to help capture them when they're ready to buy. And again, I think going into Q4 and this time of year is really the perfect time to start reviewing those budgets and having those conversations.